those trips were, I mean, there's so many, it's hard to like remember them and
but we did them.
I know you did.
And
you did a lot.
It's been a long time, but there have been some wonderful times. And
yeah. The ones for me, like the French trips for me are special to me because that was when I was a bit older and I was actually in the band. And obviously I was only 10 when we went to the US and I wasn't playing even. But then when we started going to France...
And in the USA, you were a roadie, I seem to remember.
Yeah, I was a roadie. It's going to France and Andre Gicquel giving you 100 francs, you know, outside the hotel, and you'd walk up that street to McDonald's and get your lunch at McDonald's, all that stuff, touring. And there were sometimes, even at maybe 13, 14 years of age, you'd do 3 gigs in a day. And that's hard. But you don't realise that when you're young.
No.
Especially for brass players, that's really tough to do. But we, you know, all those trips were just brilliant.
It is, but the sense at that time was that the younger players, obviously, that they preferred to be in a playing situation rather than just do one short gig a day and then just have time off. They'd rather be playing. Yeah. And it was better for us that they weren't all running all over the place. We had sort of control and knew where everybody was, which was important.
Yeah. And then from the French trips, I guess, came do you remember you used to do, well, I suppose from you doing your tours with Daijo or, you know, other bands from Daijo, you then made connections with people in France. And I think the first exchange was with Villefranche and Ian Bray, but that was with your school, Northcliffe, wasn't it?
That was with the school, yeah, with Villefranche. And
I remember that.
There, yes.
Because I tagged along on that one as well. Yeah. And that's, I think, I must have been 12 or 13.
I know, but the Limonest one did already exist because...
Not as an exchange, though, did it?
But we started that.
As an exchange?
In 89, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And but there was not too much in it because it was Andre Gicquel introduced me to Andre Menudet. Right. And, of course, that's how we got to know Ian Bray, an Englishman living in the vicinity. Okay. And that was they were wonderful times too.
Yeah,
and exchanges and good opportunities for people to meet. And be living and surviving for a week or whatever it might be, 10 days sometimes. You know, in a foreign country, but you know, involved with living with the family, you know, honouring and enjoying some of the cultural differences, you know, which were wonderful times.
I remember my first trip was to Villefranche and I was with Jan Sayor. Do you remember Jan? Sax player. Yeah. And he lived in an apartment block, which was like weird to me because obviously no one does that around here, but it's quite common in France. So that was the first, not difficulty, but it was just strange. And his mum and dad were lovely, but I also remember... I think on the first night, they gave me fromage blanc, which is like, it's quite it's like, kind of like cottage cheese almost, isn't it? But a bit smoother, but it's got a really bitter taste. And of course, I didn't want to disappoint, so I ate it. And they were like, did you like that? And I was like, yeah, it's really nice. And of course, every night then, fromage blanc came out. So I didn't pretend because in the end I started to learn to enjoy it, and you could put salt in it, sugar or salt in it, and it would change the flavour. So I would just, you know, lace it with sugar and stuff like that. But all those little things that when you're a young person, first time away from home, maybe without your parents. Obviously, I had you there, so that always made things easier for me. But for some kids, it must have been so hard to just like get on a bus and go to a foreign country. You don't speak the lingo. You don't know where you're going to stay. You find yourself by yourself in a totally strange family, eating strange food. It must, I mean, we know the benefits of it now because we've come out of that and, you know, it's brilliant. But at the time, it must be, like I say, it was easy for me because you were there. But for other kids, it must have been hard.
It was a lot of challenges for a lot of the youngsters. Others sort of did embrace it and they did very well. But even though the French people were so lovely and they knew what was happening, they knew it was a different culture, and of course some of their youngsters found that it was when they came to us. You know when we reciprocate. Yeah. But yes, Yes, I can remember that the excitement of going out. All of them, the parents got together and agreed that they would take their students and the English to a McDonald's.
Right.
So that was
what, over in France? Or
in France.
Yeah.
In France.
Oh yeah, every kid would love that.
Oh no! So they all went there, and it was just really wonderful to experience, and it was an interesting one. Some of them were quite interesting. I remember one of my students, which is slightly embarrassing, I suppose. That he wasn't really too happy with his burger
because it was still bleeding or whatever.
No, because the bun had little seeds on the top of the bun. Sort of little.
Yeah, well, we have that here.
I know, they're all over the place. So I didn't quite. I had great difficulty in communicating with that young man or trying to explain to the French family why he didn't like these little seeds on his bun.
To be fair, he might have been allergic to sesame seeds, Dan. That's quite a big deal.
Maybe
is he still with us?
Pardon?
Is he still with us, this particular...
That's a good point. Right. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he is.
Okay.
But no, those differences, of course, you talking about the fromage blanc, that was a similar situation for me, having been introduced to fruits de mer.
Oh, yeah.
Fruits of the sea. What was it?
Fruits de mer.
Fruits de mer. Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, well done, the French speaker.
Is this when you got really ill with...
Well, actually, not initially, but after one particular meal I went for when I was doing a 2-week band course over there in the music school in Lyon. And, we had occasion to go out on a Friday evening for a light meal. Yeah. I told Andre I'd had much too much food at lunchtime and I'd rather just go for something light. And he said, "Oh, c'est parfait." So off we went to this Fruits de mer restaurant. And it was, there was a huge crab on the top of the pile with mussels and oysters, the whole kit and caboodle. And that was experience. And I went through that thinking
you were very poorly for several days after that, weren't you?
Yeah, I didn't leave the hotel room. I remember, I can remember all of the wallpaper in that room.
Yeah.
Very heavy floral wallpaper in the Hotel de Nice. Right. And I'm not even sure it's there now, but I'm sure it's been done up since.
Right. I just have to stop you there. I think you're tapping the table and it's coming through on the recording. Sorry, Dad, you can't do that. I know you like to tap.
All right.
Yeah, I remember, because obviously you were on your own. It wasn't a trip, we were back home, and I remember hearing Dad's really poorly. He's had an allergic reaction to some seafood.
Could say
and you haven't touched oysters since, have you?
No, I can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
No,
I love seafood.
I don't know how you can do it.
I did oysters with Andre as well.
Did you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I wasn't sick afterwards, fortunately.
Oh.
But yeah, all those, I mean, there's a million of these stories, and what I think's great is that we've kept, a lot of these relationships have kept going. Both as a group or as an association or a band and individually. Obviously, I went to live there, lived at Robert's place, hung out with like Sylvain and Jerome and Mimi and everyone, which was great. But then there's other friendships as well. We've all been to each other's weddings over the years. So, I mean, I must have met Sylvain when I was 15. So that's like 35 years now, nearly, that I've known him. It's brilliant. And all that has come from the exchange, which obviously you set up. And we just went back there, which was great. We went back there to basically celebrate 50 years of Dijar and the band. Yeah. Well, Dijo, really, under the new guise of Doncaster Jazz alumni. And it was, I mean, what a trip that was.
Oh, what a welcome, It's, yes, it was just quite extraordinary, the welcome we had. I mean, certainly you were very involved in the organising of that, with our French counterparts, and they were full of enthusiasm and so keen to have us do that. And I think they also loved the fact that, that our album was launched,
on the day that we arrived.
On the day that we arrived, And
that was totally, by the way, that was just a massive fluke.
Was it?
We didn't plan that, no.
But
it was very serendipitous, shall we say?
Yeah.
But it was great.
They did really enjoy that, and the spirit. It was just an extraordinary few days. All these good things, just not long enough.
Yeah.
It was, but no, the friendship and the camaraderie and the feeling that that we have and they have for us. It's been quite extraordinary over the years.
Yeah.
And of course, all of those are products of those earlier exchanges, because you were all very young, sort of, some of you 8, 9, 10-year-olds when we first met.
Yeah.
And no, it has been an extraordinary experience with our French friends. And of course, the adults of the time, sort of going back to the exchanges, like Andre Gicquel, of course, as far as I'm concerned, is a legend. Long-standing friend who communicates with me on a daily basis with his music that he puts through to me to listen to, as you know. But no, lovely people, families, and of course you know Andre Gicquel's son very well, and David. That's
what I mean. Like, these relationships are far-reaching. So, like, not only do I personally have friends in Limonest, but I'm friends with Andre's son, and there's a lot of the French came over to a wedding in Scotland a few years back, and it's like permeated through our region and their region. It's not about music anymore. Like, music is the conduit, if you like, that kind of got us there. But it could have been sport, it could have been drama, it could have been any creative endeavour, really. But what's brilliant is that a lot of us have made lifelong friends just by being forced together in an uncomfortable situation, and then realising at the end of it, oh, this is brilliant. I mean, how many times have you seen a kid go on an exchange and, like, minutes before getting on the bus, they're freaking out, they don't want to go. Or they have a bit of a wobble after a day or two because they're not happy with the homestay, and you're having to have phone calls with parents or change the homestay, and it's all political and sensitive. And then fast forward 4 or 5 days later, and they're absolutely sobbing their heart out because they don't want to come home.
Because they don't want to leave their French family.
That's happened loads of times.
I know, extraordinary. And then you can remember them all, our French friends, lying down in the road and not letting the coach.
Oh, yeah.
Lying down in the.
Do you remember that one time when they left here and you had was it a Granada or something with a sunroof? And we raced them on the motorway, and I got out the sunroof with a banner or something saying, please don't go, or something like that. And we got pulled over by the police.
That's right.
The police stopped the coach and us, and there were several police cars. And we had to explain to them what had happened. Like,
I'd had no idea as I was driving what you were doing with the sunroof.
I think you got a fine because I didn't have a seatbelt on. But they said that we could have booked you for, like, reckless endangerment or dangerous driving or something like that. Because essentially you had a minor hanging out of the roof, at, probably 60 miles an hour. This was back in the 90s, by the way, when health and safety
I'm really pleased that we're telling the world about it.
So the bus got stopped, and I think that had a knock-on effect. And I think they either nearly missed the ferry or they did miss the ferry because all these police had to pull us over. It was like, I think it was where I think they got on at Warmsworth, and when you come off the M18 to go to Doncaster by the Dome, I think that's where they pulled us off onto there, and we were there for a long time.
But we actually had to go with them because they'd taken the wrong turning. They were going north, if you remember, and they should have been going south on the A1.
Right. So maybe that's what we were trying to tell them, because this was before mobile phones.
And that's why we were trying to pull them over, which we
were trying to perform our civic duties rather than break the law.
Which we were doing our civic duties, but it was just a bit of a shame that somebody opened a sunroof and decided to wave a banner out of it.
Maybe I was trying to say, go the other way. I don't know.
I think it might have been a big arrow. I can't remember. But no.
There's lots of stories.
But like even that. with that, certainly with the French, which needs to be understood, I think, is that it wasn't just the exchanges that we were doing and organising, together. We had a lot of support for that, we talked, all the support, I've had sort of throughout the years with the Jazz Association, all the important people that have made things happen. But we had that in France, and, and that was, whoever was, when you talk of people like sort of Jean-Noël Maty and all the work that he did as a musical director over there, and everyone sort of loved that man, and it was so sad it was his his parting so young at 53. But we will always remember him. But the person that's been with us and doesn't really get much support. Well, I'm saying much support, doesn't get mentioned nearly enough.
Much recognition, you mean?
Much recognition. Is the mayor himself.
Max.
Max van Song. Now, I know they have a different system to us over here, especially when I sort of say that Max van Song has been mayor since 1979.
Yeah. He's obviously doing something, right?
And it is. And those in Limonest realise what he's done for Limonest, and he lives and breathes Limonest, and everything they get involved in. And the lovely thing is that on most of the exchanges we did here, the home leg as we used to refer to it, he would come with them. Either with them or come for part of it and then go back because but he would come here.
Yeah.
And occasionally be met by a Doncaster mayor or someone of
a dignitary.
Of standing.
Yeah. Do you remember? You're right, and it's again it highlights the differences between French culture and English culture in terms of how we look at the arts and respect the arts and fund the arts. That they still get, even they've moved on from the music school. It's now music hall. They still get help from their local government. You compare that with DIJAR, Doncaster Youth Jazz Association, gets absolutely zero funding from local government or anyone for that matter. And that was stopped, I think, when austerity kicked in. Was it Mayor Peter Davis?
It certainly was, yes.
Yeah, he, in his infinite wisdom, decided not only to stop our funding, but to stop cultural exchanges. Do you remember that?
Not just
we've
with
got
France,
several
but
twin towns in France
Germany
and
as well,
Germany, and he just stopped them all. That's what you're dealing with in this country. Not to get too political about things, but that's embarrassing. We go over there. The mayor's got a big, like when we went there last year. I mean, White's was there, and filming it, but you're probably thinking all the kids not the kids, but the adults that went with us that haven't come through the ranks, haven't done the exchanges, probably thinking, wow, like we're in this big cave or this cellar, there's champagne flowing, there's food everywhere, you're made really welcome. And then on our side of it, and I'm not tarring everyone with the same brush, but there's always been this kind of like lack of understanding of what we're trying to do on our side, politically, shall we say, within the government, and it's just like, it's just a shame.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the difficulty we had certainly with Limonest is that though we in Doncaster did have twin towns, sort of in the States, of course, and with Wilmington, and I think even Dang Dong in China.
Is that a place?
Pardon?
Dang Dong?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, of course it's a place. An exchange with Doncaster and, of course, Herten in Germany, but they were official twins, so that was accepted. But the exchange with Limonest, we did that between the two music schools, their music schools and the Jazz Association. But don't get me wrong, we did get some sort of interest from quite a lot from the local dignitaries.
No, we have had,
and
I should say, we have had a lot of support from certain mayors either side of Peter Davis.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think it's fair to say that our country certainly doesn't value the arts as much as France and Germany and other European countries. You can just see it, the way that you're treated, the way that things are funded.
Exactly. It's a whole different sort of world there for musicians and professional musicians in France.
Yeah.
They look after their professional musicians as well. In terms of funding. Yeah. But it's a whole different world over there. But we've sort of made our mark. We've done our bit. But as I say again, coming back to Max van Song, the mayor, he did the things you referred to earlier on when we first land there. And then it's not only that we're in a cellar with some lovely food, and they've got a reception for us as soon as we get there, and but even the things that were arranged there, even I remember seeing several. There were a series of champagnes that had the label. We were all amazed to see the label, the specific official wine label. Was the artwork from the latest album that in our honour, which little things like that they think of and do and make happen.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and the concerts were great. We had Martin Longhorn in the other day, and I was saying to him that what was really nice for me, obviously most of the band know the France thing inside out, but some people didn't. So they've gone for the first time, never done an exchange, never done a tour in France with us, not really knowing what to expect, probably thinking, why are we not staying in a hotel? Like, why are we staying at someone's house? But I think Martin said within a few hours he'd realised, this is like a friendship thing, and he really enjoyed it. And I thought it was good for new people, like Mark as well, to experience what we've had the pleasure of experiencing for probably the best part of 30 years.
I think you're exactly right there. And you refer to Mark. I mean, were it not for Mark, he made such a difference to that as well, because we've got it on film.
Yeah.
He worked tremendously hard through all the times that we were there.
The video will be coming out soon, by the way.
And brilliant, really.
Yeah.
So that's looking good. So
yeah,
I mean, just brilliant, the whole trip. And because, of course, they've also said that they're very keen for us to... I've had them talk about February of next year, and they're very keen to do it. Now, that might have been, a lot of enthusiasm around about that sort of gig.
We'll see.
But what I was going to sort of say is because, you're a big one for planning ahead, and I'm probably not the best, but it might not be a bad idea to find out from our membership now that would like to sign up for that, so that they're not taking their own bookings at that time.
Yeah, well, we'll figure that out.
But,
we'll figure that out. But yeah, it would be nice to go back.
Exactly.
The idea is to go for your 80th birthday, which is next February 25.
I think that was actually, yes, I think that was...
Just so you know, it can't be around the 22nd, which is your birthday, because I've got a gig on the 23rd.
Oh.
Just saying. It's February, it's quiet for musicians. You need to take the gigs when you can.
It must be an important gig, that's all I can say.
Oh, definitely. Right, I'm going to sign off there.
Okay.
Thanks for this one. I think we should do one on Germany, because I've never really... I mean, I have been to Herten and done the German thing, but not to the level that you have and other people have. So I think it'd be good to do an episode on Herten and your relationship with Germany, not only in exchanges, but obviously living there and having family over there and stuff like that.
Of course, we'll do that, because we have such wonderful memories of our friends there too.
We'll get you in another time. We'll talk about the German stuff. Right,
Brilliant.
see you soon.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye.